Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make one of these braided seed bead bracelets. So this is what it looks like, and this is the other one. So to make one of these bracelets you're going to need some size 11 seed beads in 4 different colours, because I'm going to show you how to do it like this, where there's 3 different strands, and then if you can see here the copper beads that contrast in between. So you'll need 4 different colours. If you wanted to do just 3 colours without the contrasting bead, this is the kind of what it looks like. So 3 or 4 colours of size 11 seed beads, but I'm going to show you today with 4. You'll also need some beading thread and a beading needle, and a clasp and jump ring for your bracelet, and then just the tools that you'll need to open your jump ring. That's everything, so let's get started. Okay, so I've begun by threading my needle, and for each of these strands I usually use just over an arm's length of thread, but I can't really tell you exactly because obviously everyone's bracelet is going to be a different length to fit their own wrist. So that's going to vary for how much thread you're going to need, so you might need to do a bit of experimenting and even add a bit of extra thread if you run out to begin with, until you get sort of an idea of how much you need for your length. But we're going to start by picking up 8 of your first colour. So this colour is going to be one of these strands, like the pink here, and this is going to be my accent colour, like the copper beads here, that's going to go through each strand. So picking up 8 of your sort of main colour, I guess, which is like the pink around the outside, and slide those down. So for this first strand, when you slide them down, you want to leave around 8 or 9 inches on your tail thread. So slide them down until you've got about 8 inches left on your thread, and then sew back up through the first bead. Now that's just on the first strand. When you come to do the next 2, you don't need to leave 8 inches, you only need to leave a couple of inches, just enough to tie a knot. But for the first one you're going to leave a longer tail thread. So now you have this. Now you're going to pick up one of your second colour, and you're coming out of this bead here, so we're going to go into the bead directly opposite it. So there's 8 beads, so we're going to go into the 4th bead. So skipping 1, 2, 3, we go into this 4th bead, and if you're coming out the top, if your thread's coming out the top of this bead, you need your thread to be coming out the top of this one. If your thread happens to be coming out the bottom, you know, if it's like this, then your thread needs to be coming out the bottom of this one. So my thread is coming out of the top of this bead, so I'm going to count around 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go into the 4th bead in exactly the same direction from the bottom up, like that. So when I pull that through, that bead's going to sit in the middle, and my thread is coming out the top of this bead. So let's do that again. So now you're going to pick up 7 beads of your outside colour. Only 7 from now on, because you've already got this 8th bead which they're going to connect to. So picking up 7, and then going back into that bead that your thread is coming out of, but your thread's coming out the top, you're going to go into the bottom. So go into the opposite side that your thread is coming out of. So I'm going to leave mine facing this way all the way along, so my thread's always going to be coming out the top of that middle bead. So you can do that. If yours is coming out the bottom like this, you can just flip it over so you're doing the same as me if you want. Or if you find it more comfortable working that way, then you can carry on. So now we're coming out of the top of that bead. We're going to pick up one of our second colour, count round to the 4th bead, so 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go through that 4th bead in the same direction again. so that the thread's coming out the top, like that. Pull that down. Make sure that bead sits in the middle and pull it tight, like that. Same again, pick up 7 of your outer colour, like that. Go back into that bead that you're coming out of on the opposite side to create the little loop. Now picking up one of your second colour. Thread's coming out the top, so I'm going to go through the 4th bead from bottom to top, like that. So one more time, you're coming out the top of this bead, pick up 7, go back into the bead that you're coming out of but on the opposite side. Then pick up one of your second colour, go into the 4th bead, the same direction that you're coming out of that one. Pull that down, and you have this. So now you need to keep going, doing that same thing all the way along until you get a length that will fit around your wrist. And then once I've got a length that will fit around my wrist, I usually add 3 or 4 more of these little units, because when you do the braiding it does shrink a little bit, so bear that in mind. So go a little bit extra than the length that you actually need, and then I'll show you what to do next. So I've gone ahead and I've got to length that will fit around my wrist with a little bit extra as well, and this is what it looks like. And I've left my working thread attached and my tail thread as well. So now what you need to do is leave those 2 threads attached, don't tie those off, but you need to make 2 more strands exactly the same in your 2 other colours. This time you can tie off both your working thread and your tail thread on each of those. So go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so I've made 2 more strands in my other 2 colours, exactly the same length, so you can even count, after you've made the first one, count how many little circles there are, and then make sure you do exactly the same for the other 2. And like I said before, leave your tail thread and working thread attached on one of them, and on the other 2 you can tie knots and cut those off just so they're out of the way. So now what we're going to do is join them together. So you need to thread your needle onto one end of your one that's still got its thread attached, doesn't matter which end. You should be coming out of this bead right in the middle, so there's the one that's connected to the group before, so you should be coming out of the one directly opposite. So count around 1, 2, 3, and you should be coming out of the 4th one, like that. Now you're going to pick up another one of your strands and hold them together like this, and you need to find the 4th bead on this one. So that's the one that connects the 2 groups together, so that's the middle bead. Count around 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the bead we're going to be going through. So I'm coming out of this one on this front piece in this direction, so I'm going to go through this back piece, through this bead that we found out was the middle one, like that, and back into that bead on the front piece, so they're looped together. It's a little loop of thread holding them together. I'm going to go through that one more time, just make sure it's nice and secure. That. Now I'm going to pick up my 3rd strand and hold that there as well, like that, and I'm going to again find the bead that I need to be going through, so this one right here. So I'm coming out of this side of this bead, so I'm going to go into this middle bead on this front one, like that, and then back into the middle bead on the middle one. Make sure it doesn't get caught. Okay, and again I'm going to go through that again to really secure it together. Okay, So now leaving your thread attached, but just pull your needle off of the end. So now you've got this. Now you're going to lay it down on your bead mat like this, so that all your strands sit flat like this, they're not twisted. And then I'm going to take my needle and just sort of push it through the middle of them, just to kind of hold them in place a little bit while we work with it, so it's not sliding around. So now if you know how to plait or braid, you can go ahead and just do that. We're just going to do a simple 3-strand braid. So this is the middle strand. We're going to take this left strand over the middle one. So this is now the middle strand, so we're going to bring the right strand over the middle strand. Keep adjusting it up like that. So now this is the middle strand. You're going to take the left strand over the middle strand, making sure they don't get twisted like this. You want them to sit flat like that. So now this is the middle strand, so take the right strand over the middle strand, and I keep adjusting mine up because I like it to be quite a tight plait. If you're not so bothered, you can do it a bit looser. So middle strand, you're going to take the left strand over the middle strand, right strand over the middle strand, left strand over the middle strand, and if this is too quick for you, I apologise, but I'm sure there's lots of tutorials out there for how to do a basic 3-strand plait or braid. So keep going all the way down. So I'm almost at the bottom, as you can see. Now I'm going to thread my needle onto this thread that's attached at this end. Okay, so I've threaded onto this end. Now you need to plait as far as you can go. A little bit fiddly. And gather them all together, keeping them flat like this. So plaited as far as I can go, and I'm just holding them all flat like this. So I'm coming out of that middle bead again in this one. So I'm going to go into the middle bead of the next one, just the same as what we did at the other end, back into that one that I was coming out of, back into the middle one, and now into this front one as well. Into the middle one, and through that again, and back into the middle one. Okay, so now we have this. So this is your braid. Now all we need to do is attach our clasp. Okay, so I've threaded my needle back onto one of the ends, doesn't matter which one. So when you look at it like this, you've got the back, middle and front section. You want to be coming out the middle bead of the middle section, if that makes sense. And it should be anyway, because that's sort of where we finished it off, but make sure you're coming out the middle bead of the middle section. I'm going to pick up one bead, and I usually use my accent colour bead for this bit. There's only 2 beads going to be used, so you don't see much of it. Picking up one, followed by my first half of my clasp, and then one more bead. So you've got this, and then going back into that bead that you're coming out of, but on the opposite side, so that you make a loop. Like that. Pull that down. So your clasp sits like that, and then I'm going to circle through all those beads again a couple of times, making sure it's not going to unravel. Okay, and then when I've done that, I'm going to move down into this next few beads, and then I'm going to tie a knot. So I'm just going to take my thread under that loop and go through my loop that I create. Go through the loop 2 times, pull that down until you feel it tighten, and then sew on a bit further. You can tie some more knots if you want, or cut your thread. Okay, so that's one half of the clasp attached. Now you need to thread your needle onto the other end, do exactly the same, but obviously attach the other half of your clasp, and then we're finished. Okay, so when you've tied off your knots, then we're all finished, and this is what it looks like. I think this is actually my favourite one so far. I just really like the colours in this one. And again, this is the other one that I did. And this is the one where I didn't add like an accent bead, so it's quite a nice braid. Like that. It's clearer to see the braid, I think, when you don't add the accent bead. I was thinking you could do each strand like in colours of a flower, you know, with a yellow middle and 3 different daisy chains intertwined. That'd be really nice. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you're able to make one of these. Let me know if you did, and comment down below what else you'd like to see. Follow me on Instagram at Beading by Hannah. Like this video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to see more of my videos. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.